Namaskar. On June 12, 2025, Air India Flight 171, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, took off from Ahmedabad for London, its passengers full of hope. Moments after takeoff, tragedy struck. The plane crashed near the airport, turning a routine journey into a national heartbreak. 242 lives were on board. None expected this to be their last flight. The crash sent shockwaves across India and the world, leaving families shattered and a nation in mourning. This is more than a headline. It's a story of loss, courage, and the urgent questions we must face about aviation safety. We'll retrace the events, honor the heroes, and seek the lessons that must be learned. This story must be told, to remember, to honor, and to demand safer skies. June 12, 2025, 1:38 p.m. The city of Ahmedabad bustled with its usual energy, unaware that in just moments, it would become the center of a national tragedy. At the airport, Air India Flight 171 prepared for departure. Passengers, some excited for new beginnings and others returning home, settled into their seats. The crew performed final checks, and the engines roared to life. With 242 people aboard, the Dreamliner was bound for London, a journey that should have been routine. But seconds after liftoff, something went terribly wrong. The aircraft struggled to gain altitude, flying alarmingly low over the city's rooftops. Residents below could hear the engines sputtering, a sound that sent chills down their spines. Onlookers watched in horror as the plane failed to climb. Some pointed skyward, shouting warnings, while others froze in disbelief. The engines faltered, and the aircraft wobbled precariously above the crowded city. Inside the cockpit, the pilots fought desperately to regain control. Their voices crackled over the radio as they issued a brief, urgent mayday. Then, suddenly, there was only silence. Air traffic controllers stared at their screens, helpless. In a matter of seconds, the Dreamliner crashed into the BJ Medical College doctor's hostel. The impact unleashed a massive fireball, sending flames and smoke billowing into the sky. Sirens wailed as emergency vehicles rushed to the scene. The explosion destroyed a section of the hostel, leaving devastation in its wake. Rescue workers scrambled through the debris, searching for survivors. In total, 241 people on board perished, along with at least 38 on the ground. Inside the hostel, students and doctors were caught in the chaos. Some managed to escape through smoke-filled corridors, while others were trapped, waiting desperately for help as flames closed in. The dream of reaching London was shattered in an instant. Families were left with only memories and unanswered questions, as the city of Ahmedabad was forever changed by the tragedy. Across Ahmedabad, grief and disbelief swept through the streets. Candlelight vigils sprang up, and crowds gathered outside hospitals, hoping for news of loved ones. The world watched, united in shock and sorrow. In a single devastating moment, hope turned to heartbreak. The scars left behind would never fully heal, and the memory of that day would haunt the city for years to come. In those final seconds, Captain Sumeet Sabharwal faced the impossible. The cockpit was filled with alarms, flashing lights, and the weight of responsibility for every soul on board. In that moment, every decision mattered, every second counted, and the fate of hundreds rested on his shoulders. With over 8,200 flight hours, he was a seasoned pilot, now fighting a catastrophic dual-engine failure just after takeoff. Years of training and experience had prepared him for emergencies, but nothing could truly prepare anyone for this. The engines had failed, and the aircraft was losing altitude rapidly. Realizing a crash was inevitable, he steered the stricken plane away from densely populated neighborhoods. He scanned the city below, searching desperately for a place to land that would minimize the loss of life. Every instinct told him to protect those on the ground, even as he fought to save his passengers and crew. He aimed for the more open grounds of the medical college, sacrificing himself and his crew to spare countless lives on the ground. It was a split-second decision, made under unimaginable pressure, but it was the only way to avoid a far greater tragedy in the heart of the city. His actions, though tragic for those at the hostel, prevented an even greater disaster. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, witnessing the devastation, but also recognizing the catastrophe that had been averted. The loss was heartbreaking, but the scale of destruction could have been much worse. Captain Sabharwal's final decision was an act of extraordinary courage and selflessness. He put the lives of strangers above his own. embodying the highest ideals of his profession. His legacy is not just in his years of service, but in the ultimate sacrifice he made that day. He and his co-pilot fought to the end, prioritizing others above themselves. Together, they demonstrated teamwork, bravery, and unwavering commitment, even as the odds grew insurmountable. In the darkest moment, he became a hero, his legacy, saving lives even as he lost his own. The story of his sacrifice continues to inspire, reminding us of the profound impact one person's courage can have. His bravery will not be forgotten. The memory of Captain Sabharwal's heroism lives on, a beacon of hope and selflessness for generations to come. The crash site at BJ Medical College was a scene of utter devastation. Twisted metal, collapsed walls, and raging fires painted a picture of chaos and heartbreak. The once bustling campus was transformed in an instant, as thick smoke billowed into the sky, and the acrid smell of burning fuel filled the air. Sirens wailed in the distance, echoing the urgency and confusion that gripped the city. Emergency teams rushed in from all directions, battling relentless flames and searching desperately for survivors amid the tangled wreckage. Every second counted as they navigated the dangerous debris, risking their own lives to save others. The scene was chaotic, with shouts for help and the roar of fire mixing in the air. Against all odds, one passenger, Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, was found alive, critically injured, but still breathing. His rescue was nothing short of miraculous, a testament to the determination and courage of the first responders who refused to give up hope. He became the sole survivor, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. For a brief moment, amidst the tragedy, there was relief and gratitude. The emotional toll on the rescue teams was immense, but their perseverance had made a difference. Investigators quickly recovered the black boxes, the flight data, and cockpit voice recorders, crucial to understanding what went wrong. These devices, often the only witnesses to disaster, held the key to unraveling the mystery behind the crash. The Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, joined by international aviation experts, began the painstaking process of piecing together the tragedy. They sifted through debris, analyzed every fragment, and reconstructed the final moments of the flight, determined to find answers for the families and the world. Focus turned to the sudden loss of both engines, the aircraft's configuration, and the extreme heat that day. Investigators examined every possibility, from mechanical failure to environmental factors, leaving no stone unturned in their search for the truth. The world waited anxiously for answers. Families, friends, and the public clung to every update, hoping for clarity and closure as the investigation unfolded. The investigation's findings would be vital, not just for closure, but for the future of aviation safety. Each detail uncovered could help prevent another tragedy, making air travel safer for everyone. The search for truth had begun, and with it, a commitment to learning from the past to protect the future. In the chaos, heroes emerged. Trainee doctors and students, some injured themselves, rushed to help others, setting up makeshift triage, treating wounds, and saving lives. Their courage and compassion shone through the smoke and fear. Firefighters arrived within minutes, battling the inferno and preventing further destruction. Hospital staff across Ahmedabad worked tirelessly to treat the wounded. Ambulances raced through the city, and the medical community united in crisis. The swift, selfless response of first responders and volunteers made a difference amid the devastation. Their bravery and professionalism became a beacon of hope. In tragedy, the strength of the community was revealed. The nation grieved together as leaders visited the crash site, meeting victims' families and first responders. The government announced compensation for the bereaved and pledged to cover medical expenses for the injured. Immediate safety inspections were ordered for all Air India Dreamliners, and scrutiny turned to Boeing safety standards. Forensic teams began the painstaking process of identifying victims, bringing closure to grieving families. The tragedy sparked urgent calls for improved aviation oversight and accountability. The government's swift action aimed to support families and restore public trust. The path forward would demand vigilance, reform, and compassion. The nation stood united in sorrow and resolve. As the investigation continues, the world waits for answers from the black boxes. The tragedy has raised tough questions about aircraft safety, maintenance, and regulatory oversight. The loss of so many lives must lead to real change. Stricter standards, better accountability, and safer skies. Yet, amid the grief, stories of heroism and compassion remind us of our shared humanity. We honor the memory of the 279 lives lost, passengers, crew, and those on the ground. We must learn, demand better, and never forget. From this tragedy, let us build a future where such heartbreak never happens again. Jai Hind.